What is going on? My name is Psyche and welcome back to Dead Cells. So I'm sure by this point you have seen all types of builds featured on my channel. However, today I wanted to showcase something that I have never done before. So this is going to be a very different type of build, because today I will be featuring one of the most least used shield in the game, and that is the Force Shield. I'm gonna go as far as show what it does on the screen right now, because let's be honest, who uses this shield anyways? Not you, that's who. But today I wanted to show it off, and just a little disclaimer, this build I didn't actually come up with it myself. It was inspired by a YouTube channel by the name of Cavern. I don't believe he does Dead Cells content anymore, but I saw this build in one of his videos, and I thought it might be interesting to try it out for my own. Though I will be doing this in normal mode, as that's how I like to play the game. I think Kevin was the first person to kind of tell me that you don't need to run on-color items, in the sense that you don't have to always have all of your items aligned with your color. I've seen some of his videos, and a lot of them he ran very different things, such as running Ramparts in Brutality or Tactics, which Ramparts is a survival shield, so that's a very interesting playstyle. And it really got me into experimenting with different types of items, including running off-color Ice Shield, which is something I would have never have thought of before. But anyways, starting off in the first couple of biomes, I'm just gonna get some items to start me off. A lot of people said magic missiles needed a buff. I would agree. I just want to see that happen, though I don't know how long it's gonna take. I find that a lot of the lower tier items struggle a lot in the early game, hence why they're rated so low, because I'm pretty sure with the magic missile, if it actually did pretty well in the early game, then it might be played. It's actually kind of decent when you get later into the run, but right now it's just not good. So anyways, I released my last of the advanced guides tutorials for the channel, so I pretty much cover everything that people need to know about 2/3 BC and Dead Cells. So after the 3 BC tips guide, I'm going to move on to a brand new series called Veteran Guides, where I talk about 4 to 5 BC. I've had a lot of people reach out to me on Discord or just direct messages saying that they needed help with 4/5 BC, so that's what I plan to do. Don't worry, it just takes a while to get there is all. But anyways, I'm gonna find a curse chest in the toxic sewers, which does not happen to me very often. I believe the default chance for a curse chest spawning is 10%, though it is a bit different on some of the other biomes. But you know me, I don't really like downtime. I know a lot of kids watch my videos, and obviously a lot of the kids on this site have the attention span of a goldfish, if that even makes sense. I think that's supposed to be like memory of a goldfish, but whatever. You get the point. And I get it, you don't want to see downtime, and I don't want to see that either, so that's what I do in my videos. Getting the second curse chest from the Cryptid prison now, I did take up a Hayabusa boots, which I never take before. I did rate it a D tier on my tier list, though that will have to get updated sometime in the future. Now that I look back on it, some of my opinions on the weapons now are just a bit different, as opposed to like 3 months ago. If I'm gonna be honest with you guys, back then I didn't really have too much knowledge about a lot of the items, and I just kinda said what felt natural to me. But hopefully, the next couple of tier lists that I put out will contain much more accurate information, as I will probably have used a lot of the items already. That being said, I'm not an expert on Dead Cells by any means. A lot of item qualities depend on personal preferences, and sometimes I just don't like using certain weapons. Anyways, I switched over to Pyrotechnics. I don't even remember where I got that from, but I'm kinda too lazy to look back on the footage to get it. That being said, at this point, I don't have the Force Shield yet in my inventory. I believe I will get it in the Ancient Sewers, so it will be coming up pretty soon. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the upcoming Dead Cells update. Now, for those that don't know, a game called Curse of the Dead Gods recently made a Dead Cells crossover update on that game. And although I've never played it, I don't know if it's good or not. If anyone have played it and thinks I will like it, definitely let me know. But anyways, they did a crossover update because I believe both of these games, Dead Cells as well as Curse of the Dead Gods, both their developers are French, so I think that's why they did it, though I'm not too sure. We can almost say for certain that the next Dead Cells update, version 2.4, will also be some kind of crossover update. And a lot of people, especially on the official Dead Cells Discord servers, speculated that it will come out early in May, though currently it hasn't been announced yet. And here, of course, I was just taking an item from the chest, and that mushroom just happened to release the spikes at the incorrect time, so I just got hit there. Very, very unfortunate, and it's very punishing, especially in tactics. Anyways, I'm gonna get the Force Shield by the end of the Ancient Sewers, and I'm going to take a boomerang into the Conjunctivius fight. Now that I look back on it, I don't think this was such a good idea, because once I go into the fight, when I was editing the video, you realize that it's running in 2 times speed, and that's because this boss fight just took way too long. I believe uncut, it took a total of around 3 minutes. Almost 4 minutes, actually. And overall, it's just me running around dodging the boss anyways. Not too exciting if I'm gonna be honest, so that's why I'm just putting it at 2 times speed. In the next Dead Cells update, we can safely assume that it will be a crossover update. I'm thinking they might do something with the curses, or like the curse sword, to kind of fit the flavor of the update, considering the other game is called Curse of the Dead Gods. But we'll have to see. I thought it would come out this week, but it hasn't. And some people said it would come in June, though honestly I'd rather have a good update than a rushed update, to be honest. And I haven't talked about this before, but my opinions on the 2.3 update was actually not... I didn't think it was that good of an update, if I'm gonna be honest, especially with the new weapons. I thought the mutations were fine. I mean, we did receive one of the most broken mutations in the game, Barb Tips, so that's probably gonna get nerfed in 2.4. So might as well get those free wins while it's still available. And here you realize that my malaise bar is actually completely filled out. Normally this doesn't happen in tactics, considering you're playing a lot faster than the other colors, which is kind of weird since in my Barb Tips video, my malaise was pretty much completely empty. But anyways, here you see how much of a drag this fight has been. However, finally we were able to complete the fight. Did lose a no-hit. I mean, what can you expect from a fight that ran like 3.5 minutes? It's just not gonna end well. Going into the graveyard, Magnetic Grenade is doing a lot of work. It's just able to bounce everything back. I kind of forgot what I rated on my tier list, but I assume it's very, very good. Speaking of updates, I would rather have the devs rework some of the existing weapons to make them more viable than to introduce new ones. Because currently in the game, there are just some items that are so bad that it's pretty much unusable. And I would really like for it to be improved. Now what's really interesting is that some new items provide the support that some old items need to make it really, really good. For example, technically the Alchemic Carbine works with Barb Tips, considering that you are firing a lot of arrows into the enemies. So technically Barb Tips is a indirect buff to the Sonic Carbine, though again it's just not very good considering I have a much better build that I came up with that just does a lot more damage. Picking up Owl, so by this point my rationale with this build was if I ever ran into trouble, I would just hold up the Force Shield and then just let the Owl and my turrets do the rest, though by this point I still had to find a turret because I wasn't sure if I wanted to commit to the build, but by this point I'm sure that I will be. But I was too greedy on using up a health flask, but luckily I wasn't punished and I found the food shop right away. And after that I'm going to get the third curse chest. Also, if anyone here is interested, I did start a Discord server in late April. We already have over 100 members, which is pretty astounding considering the small size of this channel. You might think that 6,000 subscribers is not a lot in the context of YouTube, but it's actually very, very substantial if you actually think about it. Because how many people do you actually know in real life? I probably don't even know 100 people. So 6,000, if you can actually picture like a stadium of my subscribers inside it, then it's actually pretty massive. Anyways, I'm gonna find the turret that I need to go into the caverns, which is the flamethrower turret. And here against the ground shaker, you see how effective the force shield is at dealing with these things, because I wasn't sure how to parry the ground shakers. I know it's possible, but it's just really risky. It's definitely not something that I would recommend people do. But here you'll see, yeah, I'm just really bad at the game. Gonna trigger disengagement, but luckily, I couldn't be too greedy by this point, so I just had to take a health flask. And here after this Arbiter died, I even took even more damage, which I don't know why I did that. It was just a mistimed dodge. It happens to everyone. But sadly, this is tactics, so I did lose out on a lot of health. Cavern is one of those biomes that's just really dangerous, and it's probably one of the biggest biomes in the game. I had a couple of times where I was loading into the cavern and the loading screen took like a minute to load in. And I thought it was messing up the game somehow, but I don't know why I experienced that. It happens sometimes. I've seen some other people also have trouble loading into the cavern. It does load, it just takes like a crap load of time. Also, with my current upload schedule, you'll probably notice that I upload once a week. I do want to upload a bit more, but the truth is, I'm just kind of not very motivated right now. I still enjoy playing Dead Cells, and I do want to put out consistent content, but lately I've been playing some other games. There's this one that I've been playing a lot, it's called Valheim, if anyone's played it. And every single day I just spent like a lot of time on that. So that kind of explains why I'm not putting out a lot of content, even though I don't have classes at the moment. But I'm only human, I gotta play other games too. Anyways, gonna go into the giant fight, and I thought I'm gonna repeat what happened with Conjunctivius in the sense that it's gonna take 3 minutes. It did actually take longer than I expected, but it didn't take that long. I definitely would have thought Hokuto's bow would have worked very well in this build, but sadly RNG was not on my side today, so I just couldn't get it in the shop. This is actually the first time that I noticed that the Achromic Carbine doesn't have ammo. You can just spam the attack button and it just comes out, which I've never noticed before actually. So just taking advantage of parries as well as the critical hits. The Owl's doing a lot of work. I debated about speeding up this fight as well, but I don't think it took that long, so I'm just gonna leave it as it is. I think Hokuto's bow is a staple in a lot of DOT builds. This is no exception, it's just really a dot build but with a different flavor. Giant is considered to be one of the easiest bosses in the game, though I do go back and forth on that statement. I definitely think the difficulty of the second bosses all depend on your build, because there are some builds that you just can't do with the Giant, such as any type of rooting builds, considering the Giant cannot be rooted. Now I'm not sure why I got rid of the flamethrower turret and ditched it for the sinew slicer. I definitely think the flamethrower turret is slightly better in this fight considering it can hit both fists, though maybe it just had better affixes, I'm not so sure. And I'm going to head into the distillery because I can get enough scroll fragments for another scroll stat, because as you can see I only have 28 right now, and I would really like for it to be as high as possible. If I had 30 right now, I probably would have just skipped distillery, but since I had below what I want it to be, I'm just gonna go here to finish it off. According to polls, a lot of people don't actually like the distillery. I actually like it more than High Peak Castle simply because you don't have to deal with the royal guards. And on top of that, distillery really makes you think about what kind of build fits well here, considering that it's very volatile. You got a bunch of the living barrels where they just go up to you and explode, so you really need something fast to deal with them. And I thought the DOT build would really work here. That being said, this late in the game, you just don't want to make any mistakes. I've seen some people suggest on the Discord that the second bosses need to be changed. For example, there's just too much benefit from going into the Giant right now, considering that you get 4 scroll fragments as well as giving you the option to skip High Peak Castle. And there, of course, I don't know what I was doing. I rolled into the spikes. Just don't do that, guys. And here, again, not very smart on my part. I had to go all the way back to get the barrel launcher. For those who don't know, you can actually convince the large barrel guy over there to just blow up the passageway for you, so you don't have to go all the way back to get the barrel launcher. Hand of the King fight. This was going to be a bit tricky, considering how much I struggle with the previous boss fights, especially with a dead item such as the force shield in my inventory. I just couldn't make a lot of mistakes. And there I actually took advantage of the invincibility frames on the force shield. So what you saw there, I actually realized that I couldn't dodge it in time, and I just held up the shield to make it easier for me. In a sense, this is kind of like a tanking build, but you're also running glass cannon, which is kind of odd. But this fight wasn't actually taking as long as I thought it would. So as you can see, we're already getting the Hand of the King down pretty fast, and thanks to the owl, there was the fight. Unfortunately, I did not land a no-hit, so I haven't no-hit any of the bosses in this run yet. But this is kind of just like a quirky build to play. I've never played something like this before, and I wasn't sure how well this was gonna go. I definitely think the force shield kind of slows you down in some scenarios, but it is a nice little weapon that I wanted to try out, so here you go. And there you saw I did use the force shield to block the librarian's beams. That's also something that you could do. I believe you might be able to parry it with the cocoon, because I know with the cocoon you can actually parry things that you normally cannot, such as the slammers, aka the giant birds that you just saw. I definitely gotta try that out soon. And you might be surprised I'm running ammo as one of my mutations, because in my rationale, I thought that the force shield actually interacted with ammo, so you can hold up the force shield twice as long as you normally would, but unfortunately that's just not the case. So I did have to waste one mutation slot that I will have to switch back later, but for the sake of experiment, I was willing to do it. Even after 200 hours of playing this game, I still have a lot to learn actually. I've seen some people play without the exclamation marks on top of the enemies, and I think that's just crazy. You would definitely need to have a lot of muscle memory to know exactly when monsters are going to attack, and I really think the exclamation marks help with the clarity of the game. I have 33 scroll stats now, which is pretty good, I would say. Normally I have around 32, as I would say that will be the average for 4/5 EC runs. Something else I was wondering is that, which boss hell difficulty are you guys on? I've had a lot of people say on Discord that they are on 4/5 BC. Some of you said they were on 1 to 2 BC, so I was really wondering what level everyone is on. There's definitely no shame at saying that you're on 1 to 2 BC. I mean, I did start the game in late 2018, and I didn't even beat 2 BC until December of 2020. Though this was before the malaise change, and honestly, I would like to play that kind of malaise again. I did beat 5 BC for the first time on the old malaise system, and honestly, at first glance it's pretty scary, but it's not that bad now that I look back on it. Anyways, I'm gonna upgrade my gear. Gonna purchase the Tesla coil because it's just a very good turret. And since I'm running double turret, gonna run that support as always. It's just very solid. But there you are, I'm gonna show the build I was using, though I forgot to take a screenshot right before the collector boss fight, so unfortunately it's kind of outdated as I took the screenshot before I entered the Astrolab. Gonna head into the collector boss fight. Can I actually get a no-hit for once in this run? Well, just watch and find out. With the collector, you just want to be very defensive, especially when the meteors come down. But for what I can tell, they're pretty generous on the parry timings. One complaint that I've seen on the collector boss fight is that he does the ground slam attack way too often, and I would kind of agree. It takes up a lot of the player's time because you're spending all your energy dodging the falling beams that you can't really focus on the boss. But anyways, gonna get the first heal. Going a bit slower than I would have liked, but I'm doing pretty well. I haven't taken damage yet, so still looking good for the no-hit. This is definitely one of those runs where you're definitely at a lot of risk of getting hit, hence why I took both disengagement as well as emergency triage. I really only do this on builds that I really think kind of can struggle in this fight. The collector boss isn't actually that hard, it's just that a lot of its attacks hit you for a lot of damage. I actually think Collector has some of the hardest hitting attacks in the entire game. So you definitely want to be careful with that, and I will be releasing a boss guide on the Collector sometime in my 4/5 EC guide. In fact, in one of my videos, I'm just gonna do a all bosses guide. So I'm gonna do a guide for all of the bosses in the game, including the 5 BC boss. And that's the reason why I'm gonna include it in my veteran guides, because I wanted to include the Collector as well. And for some reason, the DOT damage didn't kill him there, but finally, I got a no-hit. So very thankful for that. But there you are. Hopefully you have enjoyed this quirky little build that I totally didn't steal, featuring the force shield, which I have never used before, and I'm sure many of you have never used before as well. So what did I think of this shield? It works. Well, kind of. I just can't really see a lot of scenarios where it's useful, but I had a lot of fun using it anyways. But hopefully you have enjoyed this run. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.